Okay, hello everybody, this is Dino with GTO, and those of you who watched my WZ111 Lowe basically premium tank overview of 9.17's buffs changes to like premium tanks in general, you may remember that I wasn't exactly happy with the Lowe's changes. But thankfully, Wargaming has well, basically taking a second look at the changes that they made to the Lowe and have decided that the changes that they gave it before were not enough, which they really weren't. They were kind of, maybe they're good enough, maybe they're not. These changes, however, I believe may be enough to make this machine actually competitive. One, it's like if I'm going to give you an example later on of how big of a horsepower per ton ratio this engine horsepower increase that you can see right here will be. It is stunning how much of a difference that actually makes to the horsepower per ton ratio of this machine. As I'm speaking right now, TanksGG has not updated to reflect this, but this is massive. Like, you may remember if you watched that video, I talked about the two alternate ways that they could fix this machine. One, make it faster, or two, make it better armored. There was a third option which I did not put in the video. And by the way, those other two options, one of the main things I said, they need to also increase the rate of fire if they do either of those things. There was a third option I did not put in the video, which was do both, but don't touch the rate of fire. Because, honestly, I cut it out because I thought it was very, very unlikely that they would do that. I thought maybe they would increase the engine power, but they wouldn't increase the armor, or they would increase the armor, but not increase the engine power. But they have done both, and that is awesome, honestly. As you can see here, 1000 horsepower. Just to give you an example of how much of a difference this will make. Currently, this thing here has roughly 8.9 horsepower per ton. It's worse power weight ratio than the mouse. Now, with 1000 horsepower in a 90-ton tank, this thing will actually have a horsepower per ton ratio above 10. And the horsepower per ton ratio of the Tiger 2 is just 10. It is literally just 10. Like, it runs up to just 10. Yes, the Tiger 2 will always have better ground resistances, but this thing will actually have a decent horsepower per ton ratio. Now, previously this thing has 8.9 horsepower per ton. Now, after this buff, it will have a horsepower per ton ratio of 11. If you don't believe me, check it yourself. It is the way to work it out is horsepower over ton. So 1000 horsepower divided by 90.8 tons. So I believe that's how much it weighs. 90.8, 90.4. I can't remember exactly, but it's one of those. That's with mine fully kitted out and all. So yeah, this thing will actually have a part of ratio which will make it able to actually move around the battlefield. I'm going to test this on the test server, but that seems like it will make a substantial difference to this machine. And I haven't even got onto the second change yet. Ignore the engine thing because that's just changing the name of the engine because it won't really make sense for it to be the same engine when there's 200 more horsepower, if you know what I mean. So yeah. The upper plate was changed from 130, which I thought was a worthless buff that it would make practically no difference in the game. Like, I may have restrained my basically my dislike for this type of buff where they only gave 10 millimeters more front armor up to the upper plate. I think I restrained it and didn't just let loose on how that was basically a totally irrelevant buff. But now they have buffed it from, remember, oh sorry, that was, yep, that's the Lowe 9.16. Yeah, I'm recording these both at once because I got excited. Sorry about that noise there. They're buffing it from, bear in mind, this patch is 120mm frontal armor, upper plate and lower plate, to having the strip of 215mm of armor in the little area between the upper and the lower plate, and they're making the upper plate 150. Don't forget, this will be worse angled than the Tiger 2, but it will actually have the thickness of the Tiger 2. That is gigantic. That is a massive buff. That will actually make it so that this thing may actually be able to use its upper plate versus tier 8s. And this thing has not been able to do that for a long time, because if you exposed your upper front plate at all to a tier 8, 9 times out of 10 they will go straight through it like butter. This will not make it able to contend with guns like the ISU's monster gun, the BL-10, but this will actually make it able to tank hits from heavies. And this thing has never been able to tank hits from tier 8 heavies. With this change, it might actually be able to do it. Now, you may recall I mentioned earlier on that the horsepower per ton ratio, I can give a couple of examples. I can give an example of the current part of weight ratio if you don't own the Lowe, and the potential part of weight ratio if these changes go through. Don't forget, these changes are still subject to change. They could still nerf it, they could still buff it, it's a premium tank, and if it makes it to the live server, that's permanent. That's how it works. If it doesn't make it to the public server, then it may not actually go through. Like, they have buffed things in the past on the test server, and then they don't reach the public server. If it reaches the public server for a premium tank, that is a permanent change. It's a policy of wargaming that they cannot nerf premium vehicles. So if this makes it, as I've said before, I feel like I'm repeating myself now, but if it makes it to the public server, it's permanent. Now, here is the current Lowe. TankCG has not updated to show these changes yet. So here is the current Lowe 8.92 horsepower per ton ratio, which is horrifically bad, worse than the mouse. Now, here is a vehicle which has almost exactly the same horsepower per ton ratio. This is the MX-40. You may know the MX-40 for being that tank at tier 4, which is renowned for having a crappy part of weight ratio and can't get anywhere near its top speed and does about 20 to 25 kilometers an hour. That's the same, almost exactly the same part of weight ratio as the Lowe. That is unbelievable. Like, I jokingly compared the two before, now on video, like when I was talking to people in games and stuff, but I hadn't actually realized how close the part of weight ratios were. Yes, the MX-40 still gets worse terrain resistances, the part of weight ratio is slightly worse, but it is not that big of a difference. And I should probably say, I think this is in addition to the changes that they already added to this vehicle. So I think it's still getting the 10 degrees gun suppression. I will update my test server and check that when I can, and I will make a short wee video confirming it or unconfirming it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that is just giving you an idea. If you don't have one of these, but you've driven the MX-40, that's how slow one of these is. Now, here is an example of what it will be like with the buffed part of weight ratio. This is the Tiger P, tier 7 German heavy. This thing has a horsepower per ton ratio of 11, and it has worse terrain resistance stats than the Lowe. And in case you don't understand how massive of a buff that is, the Tiger P can actually reach its top speed with these horrific dream resistance stats. Lowe with these dream resistance stats cannot reach 35 unless you drive it off a cliff. The MX-40 cannot reach its top speed, it can barely reach 30. But with this horsepower per ton ratio in this tank, it will finally be able to reach its top speed of 35. It won't reach it quickly, but it will reach it. That is huge. And that will make a massive difference to this machine and how it plays, because it'll actually be able to move around the battlefield, which is a pretty damn welcome change. But as I said, still subject to change. Don't get your hopes up too much. But if these changes go through, this tank may actually be worth a fuck. And I am going to make a video talking about the other changes, but not right now. This is mainly tomorrow is going to, well, yeah, I had to render them overnight and upload them overnight. But this Friday, well, normally, well, Friday, but at this point tomorrow, is going to be basically the day of the Lowe. So yeah, if these changes go through, awesome. If they don't go through, then that's sad. Honestly, that's about all I can really say. But yeah, I think I have rambled on long enough. So basically, to summarize what I said, the changes go through, epic. Will make the machine good. If they do not go through, this machine will remain, well, this machine will remain shit. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.